getting PowerShell on your platform. In the last section, we introduced you to the basics of PowerShell. In this section, let's take a step back and ensure that you have PowerShell installed on your platform. If you're on Windows, you probably have it, but you might have to upgrade to a newer version. And if you're on Linux, we also have you covered. Specifically, we're going to take a look at what PowerShell versions are installed out of the box, how to install or upgrade PowerShell, we'll have a look at online module sources, and we'll go off on a little tangent and talk about packet managers for Windows. Now we move on to the first video of this section that deals with PowerShell out of the box. In this video, we are going to take a look at which PowerShell versions each Windows version has out of the box, finding out programmatically which PowerShell version is running, and we will look at how to write scripts that target specific versions. As the title of this video course suggests, at the time of writing, PowerShell is available in version 5. This version comes out of the box with Windows 10 and Windows Server 2016. It's also available for older versions, such as Windows 8.1 and Windows Server 2012. On the second row, we see that if you're on Windows 8.1 or Windows Server 2012 or 2, you have version 4 out of the box installed. And on the last row, we see that if you're on Windows 8 or Server 2012, you have version 3. Moving back in time, there are also versions of Windows that come with version 1 or version 2 of PowerShell. It is worth noticing that version 3 of PowerShell is kind of a breaking change, because it runs on Microsoft.NET version 4, which has a new activation policy. Version 1 or 2 of PowerShell runs on .NET 2 and .NET 3.5. Versions 2, 3, and 4 of PowerShell can be run side by side. For a good source of information about handling these PowerShell versions, use the bit.ly link that I created at bit.ly/posh-versions. So let's find out what version we are running programmatically. We'll open up PowerShell and we type get host and pipe it to select, and we'll select version. And we'll see that we're indeed on version 5.1. If you want some more details about the runtime, we can look at the global PS version table variable. So how should we use this information? Throughout PowerShell's history, new functionality has been added. So how should we guard against referring to functionality not available when the script runs? One naive way to do it would be to test for versions against this version information. Luckily, there's a better way. Let's have a look. Let's create a script file. Let's generate a globally unique identifier and have it returned in string form. Let's try and running. Good. Now this commandlet was added in version 5 of PowerShell. Now what we can do to prevent unintended behavior of our script is to tell PowerShell that this script requires version 5 to run. Let's open the script file again. PowerShell has the requires statement that defines constraints for the script. If the constraints are not met, the PowerShell will refuse to run it, and it will raise an error. With the version parameter, we can set version constraint to version 4. We'll save the script, close it again. We are on version 5, so the script will run without problems. It's important to notice that the version parameter means the given version or newer. If you set it to 4 and we're running on version 5, it's all good. Now let's set the requirement to version 6. and try to run the script. Now this time we get an error. In this video, we have had a look at which Windows versions have which windows of PowerShell installed and which are available for installing. We saw how to find the current PowerShell version programmatically, and we saw how we can use the requires statement to ensure that the minimum version of PowerShell is met.